The signature conference is where I'm going to be giving you a copy of this very soon. The signature copy is where I'm going to have not necessarily written notes, but I'm going to have boxes checked where I've evaluated you in each one of these areas, and I've made a recommendation. The recommendation's on the last page, where I'm either going to recommend you for continued employment. Maybe things aren't real clear, and we might take a look at we need some remediation. Maybe you're doing outstanding, and it's just highly recommended. So in other words, this is where I'm going to make a recommendation to see how you are doing as a teacher. Now, that'll be the first semester. The second semester for first-year teachers, we're going to do the same thing. So it's pretty intense, but it's also to the point where I would always give you an opportunity that I could see things that I would like for you to work on. I could also see things that together we could work on, and I could help you with things. So I didn't look at it as a threat. And again, I was a type of administrator, and I've told the ones that I work with the same thing. I'm a positive person. I work. You're part of the team that I'm on. I'm on the same team, and we are a team together. And I didn't, as an administrator, come into the room with my microscope and look around and see if all the pictures were hung straight and things were just perfect. That's not the point. I looked at obviously if there's some things that are incorrect, I'm probably going to make some notes. If you got a bunch of words up on the board and half of them misspelled, we got a problem there. So we're going to make some notes there. But a lot of the things that you're going to share with me about how things are going. So that's the first year. The second year of your start toward your tenure is going to be the same thing. We're going to use the same format. 2 observations or more. It could be more. I just said 2. That's all I did. Matt Toon's contract says we can do up to 8. 8 a semester. That's a lot of times to be in a classroom. But if things are not going well, it may be the administrator or administrators need to come in. In some situations, since I was the head administrator where I was at, I was the one that did all the first-year tenured people. That doesn't mean to say an assistant principal or someone else who has a Type 75 that can evaluate your district could come in and see you. In fact, some of the tenured teachers, there is a contract with the tenured teachers that if they felt an administrator was being hard on them, didn't like them for some reason, they could request another administrator in the district. And that has happened in some cases. But with the first-year people, I was the one I felt that I really wanted to be responsible, even though I would check with my assistant on some things, but I was the one that was really doing you. Is there any questions up to that point? Pre-conferences, post-conferences. Obviously, the second observation, since I said it was unannounced, I'm not going to have a pre-conference with you because the pre-conference is you're going to tell me when you want me to come in. The second observation I did, which is unannounced, I'm just going to have a post-conference. Then we do the signature conference, and of course you get copies of all this. Everything is copied. Okay? Let me pass out the actual observation, evaluation. And I'm just going to go over this with you. So I'd like to make sure that you have some time for some questions in case there are some misunderstandings here. Keep in mind, this is what we used in Mattoon. And I don't think whether you're in Urbana or you're in whatever place, and it could even be in Paris, Tennessee, they're going to still use something very similar. But the thing that you really need, that when you meet with your administrator, make sure you have a copy, because it's in fairness to you, you really would like to know what you're going to be basically tested on. It's just like going to a class. If you went to a class and the professor said, well, we're going to be having an evaluation, having a test, and you don't know what you're supposed to be tested on, that's not fair to you. So make sure that you have a copy of this, and you can go through it, and you can know exactly what that principal or that evaluator is going to talk about. Of course, the first page, is just simply information about yourself. Now here's what I'm going to probably sit down with you though, my pre-conference, and I'm going to obviously know the years of experience, and I'm going to know the grade level, and I'm going to know where you're at. I'm going to know what subject you're going to be teaching. You may have to help me with the class size, because at the time that we're going to meet, maybe your class size started off at 22, but whenever we meet to go over this observation, pre-observation, maybe it's down to 20. Maybe it's increased. I really need to know the number. The IEPs, and that's critical, because I would want to know in that particular class any student that had an active IEP. Now that could be from speech, it could be from a fidelity resource, it could be for some behavioral issues. Whatever they have an IEP, an active IEP, you need to put that down. Also title. Many schools are title schools. And you may have some students in there that have been identified as reading below grade level and have been identified as title. So make sure you put those students down. Now the title students probably aren't the same as the IEP students. Most of the time if you have an IEP and you're working with special ed teachers, then you're not working with the title teachers. So make sure those numbers, and of course the first one is how many's in the class. So you could easily have 20 in a class. You could easily have 2, 3, 4 IEPs. You can have, in elementary now, not my high school necessarily, but elementary, you can have 2, 3, 4 title. You could have, 40% of your class might have some issues. And that'll help me know that when you're teaching, that you're teaching 20 students, but I know 4 of those students or 3 of those students have some IEP issues. Now, it may not be real serious, and we're talking about behaviors now. It may just be a speech articulation problem, which isn't going to mentally affect them. It's just that they can't say their R's very well or something. They're getting some speech services. But at least I would know that. The rating system, there's a 5 through 1, and every time I meet with teachers, I tell them, don't think of the 5 as being an A, and the 4 a B, and the 3 a C, and the 2 a D, and the 1 an F. It's not that. Don't think that I'm an A through an F person. A 5 obviously is good. You can see it's a superior performance. It constantly exceeds expectations. And expectations, you're expected to do the job. And when you go above and beyond, as it says there, 90% beyond what those doing the same type of job, that's good. Where it says comments required, that means that in the course of this instrument, there's a comment section for each one that I, as administrator, if I score you as 5s, that I'm going to write comments of why I think you're doing that. A 4 is an excellent rating. That performs better than 75% of the time. Again, comments required. A 3 is good. 3 is good, consistent performance, always meets, sometimes exceeds, performs as well as others doing the job. So all of you would be expected to be in the 3s and up and beyond. A 2 is marginally satisfactory. In other words, sometimes you do well and sometimes you could do better. There's some inconsistencies there. There's some deficiencies. Again, improvement is needed there and comments will be required. A number 1 is total unsatisfactory. And I tell the people when I meet with them, if you're doing a number 1, I'm probably going to be in your classroom a lot before we actually have an actual observation. I'm going to know that you're struggling, and I'm going to be in there real soon.